Hey everyone, Board Game Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I have a prototype copy of Lots. It's an abstract strategy, commodity speculation, investment game by Thomas Wells. The game is for 2 to 4 players and takes 10 to 20 minutes to play. Let me tell you 4 things that you need to know about this game. Number 1. The game is unique and different. It's hard to explain how different and unique this game is, but after the end of this video, you will be able to see how true this statement is. Number 2, the components and setup. The game comes with 20 to 30 random objects, and these objects can be anything really, but most likely will be related somehow to board games in one way or another. From game to game, the objects will be different, so the surprise of which components that you receive is cool in itself, and for many people might be one of the main reasons to back this game. In addition, the game comes with 25 lot cards in 5 different colors and 5 value cards. To set up the game, each color lot card is separated in its own stack, leaving a space in between for a random value card that is also randomly placed out in those gaps. The side and placement of these value cards doesn't matter, as it's supposed to be random, and it gives a feel of a different game each time you play. Below each lot card is an area used to place objects to assign them to that lot. But to begin, all the objects are placed above all the cards, forming a supply. In reverse turn order, players will take one object of their choice to place in their own personal supply, and then play begins with whoever is assigned to be first. Number 3, the gameplay. Players take turns taking 2 actions on their turn. Let me explain all the actions. You can add an object from the supply to your own personal supply. You can add an object from your personal supply and assign it to a lot. A lot does become locked when the 4th object is placed in it, and locked lots may not be moved. Only once per turn, you can take a lot card from any stack, but that lot has to have at least 1 object assigned to it in order for you to take this action. All lot cards that belong to certain players are always visible to all other players. Lastly, once per turn, you can return one of your lot cards to be able to swap the place of 2 lots, which include their cards and any assigned objects below them. Players will be taking these actions to set up lots to score, and also to gather lot cards so that they can score points for that valid lot at the end of the game. The game ends when either a lot pile is emptied, the objects are all used up, or when 3 lot piles become locked. At that point, scoring is performed by evaluating each lot, and each lot is evaluated against all of the lots to the right of it. If the condition of the value marker is met, then it makes that lot valid and it can be scored. Each player who has a card matching that lot will receive points equal to the number of objects in the lot multiplied by the number of cards of that lot. Everyone will evaluate each lot from left to right, with the last one not scoring any points at all. When evaluating, if the lot is invalid, then the players with those lot cards will score no points. Whoever has the most points after evaluating each lot will win the game. Number 4, strategy and thoughts about the game. There is so much freedom to manipulate things in this game, but it will depend on the type of players that you play with as to how the game will end. Unconfrontational players might tend to collect lots of their own, not wanting to challenge or change the dynamic in the game much. These players might decide not to move lots around and will focus more on completing one big lot at a time. Players who like confrontation in their games will challenge players moving lots around or adding objects to make lots invalid. Strategic players might tend to balance all the different available actions, setting things up for them while also changing it for the other players. These players also understand how important the last couple turns can be to achieve their strategy, or maybe those turns will turn them into a disaster with a failed plan. There are many ways to go about playing this fairly simple game, but knowing your opponent will be one of the most important keys that will grant you victory. Let's talk about some of the strategies of the game. First, grabbing lot cards can give you an increased way to score points. The more lots you have, the more chances that you have to score points. But when those lots end up invalid at the end of the game, those lots can be worth nothing, causing you to have worked a lot for nothing. So it might be worthwhile that you start the game by setting up some things, and when you see those pieces falling into place, you can then invest your actions into gaining lot cards to score you points. Just watch out, because everyone is watching what you do. Next, the different value cards can change where and how you want the objects to be placed out. With the greater than or less than sign, you can decide how easy or hard it might be to fulfill those, also remembering that lots can be switched around with others. The weight value card also changes up the way that your brain thinks, as you are mostly focusing on the number of objects from many of the other equations. This sign makes you think about the weight of these objects, which is a fun way to manipulate the objects and cards as well. If you are good at guessing people's weights, then you might also be good at guessing weights of these random components. The game requires anticipation of what others might be trying to do, planning, as you should always have a plan, and at times, luck, as the lot that you just invested heavily in might just be moved at the last second to score you mega points, or more likely nothing at all. The game is pretty genius in how it requires so few components, yet it requires a lot of your brain to process through your options. The game can play different each time depending on how you play with and order the value cards that come out. It can be as quick as 5 minutes, as I have personally tried that strategy, or as long as 20. You can end the game and score as many as 11 lot cards or as few as 2 or 3. But what I absolutely love about this game is the game is a surprise as to what components you will receive, and then the game itself will require you to arrange those components into the lots, investing in certain ones to hopefully score you points at the end of the game. So make sure that you have a lot of fun sorting lots with your family and friends in Lots by Thomas Wells. Again, this is Board Game Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.